You want to know what it takes to have financial freedom, what it takes to be able to wake up in the morning whenever you want. You want to know what it takes to not have to listen to other people's commands on a day to day basis. Or maybe you want to keep working but move on from the job you're currently in. Today, we're talking about what it will take or things you should consider before quitting your job or what you will need to quit your job. The first thing we're going to talk about is some of the statistics behind what you will need to be able to quit your job in the first place. So, the first thing that comes to mind is your core survival number. So, this is a number that includes your housing, your utilities, your food, some of the insurances you have, your debt payments that are at a minimum. So, the very minimum amount of money that you will need to survive the next month and the next month. So, for me, what that looks like is $1,400 in rent, 100 or so in utilities, a little bit higher for energy, so we'll say 150. About $300 grocery bill, minimum payments of $230 to my debt, and $10 to insurance a month for renter's insurance, and around 150 for our gas and car maintenance. So this is your bare bones number. This is what you have to have. Without this amount, you are not able to make it to the next month. The next number that you're really trying to achieve is your lifestyle maintenance number. This is where you can have a little bit of stability. Your basic maintenance is covered. You have an extra 20% on top of your bare bones number that can go into either building your wealth for the future, go into savings, or even have a little bit of lifestyle change. Maybe you go on a vacation a year or are able to buy something that you've been really wanting that can improve your life. Then we get to the point where you're very financially stable at this point. Once you have this number outside of your normal job coming in a month, you are basically completely stable and are making as much money outside of your job as you are inside of your job. This is this is when everything else doesn't matter. I will say that if you want to compound your wealth, it would be in your best interest to keep your job as long as possible because the more this compounds, the bigger this will be in no time. Instead of making 1x your salary, now you're making 10x your salary just by putting in a little extra time. But at this point, if your mental health is deteriorating or anything else is coming up, you don't have to stay into a job that you don't have the will to go into every day. This is the number where you are free. Now we're going to talk about why we want to move on from our job. For a lot of people, it's a lack of passion. That is what I think of myself for myself. It's I'm doing 9 hours of work a day and I'm sitting in an office doing things that I've never been that passionate about. I have so many things that I want to do with my life and when I get home after 9 hours of work, I have no desire to push through. So now let's talk about the things that could push you towards wanting a change in scenery of your job. The first one and the most important one that you have to tend to is your own mental health. If you are dreading your lifestyle, on Sunday night you realize your week is over and you are wishing it is Friday again. You have constant anxiety every day at work and you are disconnected from your basic conversations. It might be time. No, it is definitely time for you to start looking for a new job or a new opportunity. Your mental health and your physical health, your overall health in general is the most important thing to you. And if you are not in a good space, you have to change your scenery. This is the number one reason that you should quit your job. If this is not right and you are completely exhausted mentally, you have to find a new situation. And to build on that, the next big thing to talk about is chronic exhaustion. This is when you're a little bit more burnt out and you're constantly feeling it. You are getting 8 hours of sleep. You go in the next day and you're still exhausted. You have your mental capacity is at a all time high and your endorphins are not going away. I don't even know if I used endorphins right there, but it doesn't matter what you do, and even if you take a week long vacation, you still don't feel rested and ready to go the next Monday morning. So these kind of go hand in hand, but this is more of that lack of motivation daily when you're at your job and you're just not in it. And this kind of leads into the next category where if your job conflicts with your own personal values, your goals, where you want to be, your learning opportunities aren't there anymore, and it doesn't match your personality traits. I know a lot of people who are in sales jobs who don't have a personality. This is another sign that you maybe should be looking for a different opportunity. You want everything within your life to align with how you want it to be. You only have one of these lives. Don't waste it doing something that doesn't align with yourself. And then the last thing, kind of touched on it with the last one. They all kind of build on each other. But this is your opportunity cost of staying. If your job pays 75K and you are stuck there, and that is all you have the opportunity to make, you don't have any further learning or growth that you can have within your job, it might be time to look elsewhere and see where maybe that path can lead further and further. And if you aren't learning something almost every day at your job, it's time for a new opportunity to take a hold. Next thing I want to talk about is why we are so stuck on staying in the same job for so long. We have this unwavering loyalty to the people who give us a chance. And what is so wrong about us as humans in doing so is we are not given that same opportunity by these companies. If they see that you are lacking or aren't meeting the quota, you are let go. So why, if they are not meeting your quota, are you not letting them go? Well, the big reason is your risk formula. We are so wired to stay comfortable in where we are, identify the risks that are out there, even from back well, our ancestors way before us. We are always adapting to our predatory instincts. If we aren't in a safe environment, we want to get to a more stable environment. So, staying in a job that we know is going to have a paycheck for us every 2 weeks, we want to stay in that job where maybe we are taking a risk going to a startup company or something that we're really passionate about that maybe won't make as much money. We aren't as willing to take that risk because we don't know what it will hold. We want to see solidified numbers that can help us. And that's understandable. In today's market, we already talked about that bare minimum number that we had to meet. If we can't meet that number with our new opportunity, or we don't know if we can meet that number, it becomes really hard to take that risk. I think more and more in the Gen Z generation, we are seeing people take a little bit more of these risks. This is the easiest time to gain wealth online or through non 9 to 5 opportunities throughout history. So there's so many ways to think about, is this job right for me? So there's a couple questions that you can ask yourself. Do you think this job is growing me? Is it growing my skill, my network? Is it giving me fair and new opportunities that can help me grow into the person I want to be, or somewhere I can be 10 years down the line? If that is not something that you can answer confidently that you think that they will, then keep considering your options. The next thing that should definitely be considered is, am I being paid fairly for my leverage? With your experience, your responsibilities, your roles, expectations, how you meet them, what you have gathered and gained for this company, are you paid fairly? Look at the market value of your position throughout the internet. There are so many great sites that are very transparent with similar paying roles. So look at that, compare them, and if you aren't being uh, paid fairly, try to look for backup opportunities that you can fall on, and go into a meeting knowing that you have a backup option if the meeting doesn't go as expected, and ask for a raise. It's always nice to have extra leverage if in those situations. You're a lot more nervous when if the promotion fails, you're in a terrible spot. So if you have a backup option, if asking for a raise fails, having that extra leverage in the conversation asking for a raise, knowing that you have a backup opportunity in hand if things go away that you aren't expecting, allows you to take the risk and be in a calm mindset going into a meeting that could change your life. The next thing to consider is the environment healthy. I number one thing I mentioned earlier is your mental health. Are you being respected? Are you given opportunities to grow? Do you feel like the people around you are the people that you want to be around? Or is this a toxic environment that is kind of deteriorating your entire life from your mental well being? The next thing to consider is the trajectory. If you're in a job right now and it's 75,000, that's the number we used earlier, so we'll keep it. But that is capped out and you don't have another chance to grow, but there's another opportunity elsewhere that's maybe you're making 50K to start, which is a big decrease. I know you never really want to take a huge decrease, but if that can eventually become 150K or 200K with time and experience, job B may be the better path for you, especially if you're not in an environment that you feel comfortable in. I think there's three stages of wealth that you're really trying to build to. The first one is that survival stage. Can you live through your next month of expenses? And not the next month, the month after that, and the month after that. Are you able to provide just your basic living needs? Can you survive? Can you have food? Do you have a roof over your head? That is your basic survival needs. If you're able to have that without your job, you're in a much better spot. And then the next stage is your stability. That's becomes your income is greater than your expenses and you're able to invest a little bit, whether that be into your mental health with things that you are wanting to purchase or into your future. There's a huge amount of America that is not investing at all. So taking that step in being able to invest, and at this point, if you have your job and you're at the stability stage outside of your job, your investments are growing at a rapid rate and it allows that freedom to come way, way sooner. And that leads it right into the next stage, the freedom stage. This is when your income is far greater than your survival, your stability, and you're able to have the lifestyle that you're really kind of wanting in life. You don't have to think, oh, should I buy this organic cheese because it's $3 more expensive? You can buy the food that you really want. You don't have to think about a $3 purchase that's going to affect your entire financial future. I think there are two big metrics that you should really keep track of and have a great understanding of before quitting your job. And once you have these two metrics understood and you know what your risk tolerance is, that is when you can really take that leap of faith and do so. The first thing is your burn rate. This is how fast you're spending your money per month. So, like I said, those basic expenses. And if you can't control any other spending, it is whatever else you're spending. This is all the amount of money that you will end up spending per month. So, say that your expenses is $3,000 a month, that's your burn rate. Say you have set or $30,000 in savings, then you will last 10 months, and that is your runway. How long your money will last with your burn rate. If you're burning through your cash at $3,000 a month and you have 30,000 in savings, your runway for expenses, your risk tolerance is 10 months. And this runway is oftentimes called that emergency savings fund, but in this context, it's a little bit different because usually that emergency fund is for those disasters. Your runway at this point is your entire living capacity. It's no longer a emergency fund. You're no longer funding a random car breakdown. This is now all you have to live with. So if your burn rate increases because of a expense, now your runway decreases as well. You have so much less time. Now I want to talk about the 4 ways you can really get to the point where you are quitting your job and are in no need of staying there anymore. You are not financially free per se with each of these things, but you're in a position to leave. The first one is building up that investment fund where you are returning more money than your job is even paying out. This is something that can come with any really range of numbers depending on the return you're expecting. If you're expecting an 8% return, then $1 million would net you $80,000 a year. Now, if you are in a taxable brokerage, which in this case you probably would be if you're retiring early, that number is your pre-tax income. So there would be obvious deductions upon that, but that is a, a kind of more common way to get to the point where you are able to quit your job. And this is the number one way I don't know if I should say common people, but the common people get to be a millionaire is you're working and you're investing constantly and you get to the point where your returns are now outpacing your own job. The next way is side incomes or passive income, a lot of people like to say. I don't know that much side income that you can have is truly passive, but it could be slightly more passive than your actual job, which is for a lot of people a lot better. So these side incomes can come in a lot of different ways. I think finding a niche that you're really passionate about is a great way to start. If you aren't passionate in what you are doing, you won't have the drive to continue doing it. So definitely do something that you really care about, as you will have way more success and enjoyment in doing so. But side incomes is a huge way that people are able to kind of quit their job, and I think is the fastest way that people are able to get to this point. As once you have that side income, as long as it's stable, you're basically replacing your salary, and it can happen at any point as long as that side income is able to stay consistent. The next way to quit your, or sorry, I shouldn't say way to quit your job. Reason you're, or the next way you know you're able to quit your job is if you got a backup job aligned and in place, a replacement job. This is, I want to say, the most common thing that would happen within the job and workforce and throughout corporate and 9 to 5 people. But this is very common. Being able to replace your job with something that you will find more enjoyable, maybe that better fits your goals and your needs, or is able to project your career further in, is a great way to know that you're able to quit your job. These are opportunities that can kind of be sought out after, even before even the thought of quitting your job occurs. You can go apply for any place right now, even if you're enjoying your job, and see if that opportunity is better. Or it could even be used as leverage in a salary increase with your current job. Now I wouldn't go in saying I applied to this job, they're paying me this much, so you should pay me more. But it is good leverage to have, knowing that maybe they aren't willing to give that increase. Well, look at this other company that is willing to give you that increase. So it's a little risk averse way of being able to increase your salary is replacement jobs. And then the last way, the least common, but also very similar to a lot of the other things, the FU money. Once you get FU money, it doesn't matter. You have enough money that you don't care about the income that is coming in. You're able to live. I know it's very common to say about 1 to 2 years, but it could be even longer. Something blew up. You got an inheritance. Something happened where you got to the point where your money is now outshining and outshining your expenses, and you're able to live off of it freely for over a year or even 2 years or even longer. This is kind of a financially free point. Um, the scary part about leaving at FU money is you still are going to have to replace your income at some point. This doesn't mean you're able to just leave your job and sit at home forever. This is the point where I can leave this current job that is toxic and I don't have to do anything for a little bit because I have enough money that it doesn't matter what anyone says, I'm able to live comfortably for a good portion of time. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys were able to take something from this video. Let me know in the comments why you would want to leave your job specifically, or if maybe you're in a great spot and opportunity and why you want to stay in your job. What separates it from you wanting to leave? I know for me, I have no complaints about the company I work at. It is a phenomenal place. It's just not something I'm passionate about. So something that I want to do is find a place that does stuff that makes me passionate about working there. And I'm not at the point where I feel comfortable leaving my job. I think I make a very solid wage. I'm able to provide for myself. I'm able to save a lot of money, and I still have a lot of growth within it. So I'm still developing. So maybe it's not exactly what I want to do, but I'm still developing skills within and am able to continue to get better. So I don't think I'm quite ready to leave my job, um, but definitely seeking out things that interest my passion. And that's a big thing that I'm doing right now. I love talking about finance. I love personal finance in general. Um, Currently studying for the CFA, and maybe we'll be doing the CFP in the future. But I think it's great to continue pursuing your passions. I said it earlier in the video. You only have one life to live. Don't spend it wishing your life away. Funny about that is someone in the elevator either this morning or yesterday morning said that to me, and I couldn't help but laugh because it's exactly what I was doing. I was ready for it to be Friday. Don't spend your time wishing your life away. And that stuck with me. It's something really real to live by. You don't want to spend all of your life wishing you were in someone else's shoes. Find a way to make it work. Have a good one, guys. See you next time.